On Sunday, we spoke into this whole idea of think what you think about. There aren't a lot of passages that directly impact that kind of thing, but Philippians chapter 4, verse 8 does. I want to read that again. Paul writes, he says, "Finally, brothers, whatever is true and noble, whatever is right or pure, whatever is lovely, what is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things." So I've always liked that passage because it gives us filters of what we're supposed to be thinking about. That's all fine, but we have to do that. And so we could read this multiple times and it may not mean anything to us. But the big thing is going to come back to ask ourselves, are we going to choose to think these ways? I love what Max Lucado says about that. He says, you don't select your birthplace or your birth date. You didn't choose your parents or your siblings. You don't determine the weather or the amount of salt that's in the ocean. There are many things in life over which you have no choice, but the greatest activity of life is well within your dominion. You can choose what you think about. And that's really what I want to stress to you today, that we have that ability. We can do that. We can choose what it is that we need to think about. And before we start asking the question, what should we think about? Again, we have that answer here in Philippians 4:8, that we're to choose to think these things. These are godly things. These are things that as we think about these things, we can say these are things that Christ would think about as well. One of the things that I think is important for us as we think about what we think about and we choose what we think about is, again, these questions that I so love to help us with whether what I'm thinking is correct or incorrect. Is it right or wrong? Is this something God would want me to focus on? So I want to hit those quickly. Asking ourselves this, is it helpful? Is this thought that I'm thinking, is it helpful? Is it helpful to me physically, spiritually, or mentally? Second question, does it bring me under its power? In what I'm thinking, does it control me in some way? Third question, does it hurt me? Does this, what I'm thinking about, hurt me in some way? And then finally, does it glorify God? I believe those questions can really help us, even if we'll just remember that last one. Does it glorify God in some way? What I'm thinking right now, does it glorify Him? My challenge to you is to think about what you think about. And I don't think we do that nearly enough, but that is my challenge, because what we think about is going to lead to how we live our lives, how we behave, who we are. If we're going to be Christ-like, if we're going to be the people God wants us to be, we have to choose. We have to pick what we're going to think about. So I encourage you today, think about your thought life.